Hi everyone, today I'll be watching the worst Pokemon games, brackets, and why, by MandJTV. I'm excited to watch this one. Fun fact, from the thumbnail, it looks like it's gonna be Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. That is the first Pokemon game I had ever streamed on Twitch. Ever. It was a Nuzlocke that I did. It was my first one on Twitch ever. Not my first Pokemon game, but my first Pokemon game I've played on Twitch. It was a long time ago. Wiz, can you like put the screenshot I sent you of when I last streamed that game? It's been a while, okay? And I remember because this game, I bought it because I was like, yo, neat, Gen 4 remake, right? And like Best Buy gave me like a little poster. And by a little poster, I mean actually really little because, I don't know, man. Well, I'm making like the shape with my hands, but you guys can't see that. I think smaller than like a letter-sized paper. Yeah, a little poster. That's what they got. Anyways, I'm gonna go to the React corner now. Hi, I'm Maple. I like Pokemon. Let's watch. Yeah.
I am not normally someone who is highly critical of Pokemon games. I've heard plenty of criticisms of X and Y being too easy, Oris lacking a battle frontier, Sun and Moon having too many unskippable cutscenes, Sword and Shield's bland wild area, and Scarlet and Violet's glitches.
Okay, but to be fair, the glitches are really funny. If anything, they're at least very funny. And too many unskippable cutscenes? Yeah. Okay, but Scarlet and Violet also starts out really, really slow too, because I tried doing a Soul Link with Scarlet and Violet with another friend of mine named Hasher, and I believe by the time we made it out of the quote-unquote tutorial or beginning section of the game, it was 3 or 4 hours in, and we were trying to go as fast as possible as well. I don't know, maybe we just suck, but like, hell, man. But like, holy shit, it was slow.
I acknowledge those flaws with those games, but generally, I like the games as a whole, and I still enjoy going back to play them. So it should carry a lot of weight when I say that 3 years ago, Pokemon released the worst mainline games ever.
Ever.
Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I consider them so irredeemable that I refuse to ever play through them again. And I play through Pokemon as my job. In this video, I'll explain my reasoning for that opinion, but I'm saving my most controversial reason for last. The first thing I must do—
I am currently also playing Pokemon as my job. It's okay, guys. I'm applying for other jobs. It's fine. Everything's fine. Look. I've only been unemployed for like a month. Wah.
addresses my definition of worst, because an understandable counter could
Don't mind me. I'm fine. I just like bitching. Just let me bitch.
be Red and Blue are objectively worse games. And that is generally true. BDSP have the quality of life improvements that have been added in the many years since Red and Blue came out. Better Pokemon storage, the physical special split, character customization, the removal of HMs, etc. On those fronts, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are better games. However, part of how I judge a Pokemon game is how it improves upon its predecessors. I cut Gen 1 a lot of slack because they were the first games.
Yeah, like Gen 1 deserves like, you know, criticism as well, but it's Gen 1. Like, I know people, you know, that are younger than the first Pokemon game. In fact, all of my editors are younger than the first Pokemon game. Wah. Wah. Yeah, no, like, I like giving shit to games too just because I like bitching, but it's Gen 1. You gotta cut it some slack. I like also saying being like, oh guys, Gen 1 is held together by like duct tape, hopes, and dreams, but it's old hardware. It's fine.
And they're almost 30 years old. BDSP should not get credit for quality of life improvements that were added in games that came long before them.
That reminds me, when I was playing Pokemon Legends ZA, when I noticed the textures were kind of just like painted on for the buildings, even though there's supposed to be like some form of 3D form for them. And I was like, you know, when I was playing Metal Gear Solid 1, that had it too, but I can't bitch about that because guess what? That's an old fucking game from 1998. Wow.
So yes, not needing HMs is an improvement over the original Diamond and Pearl, but that's a low bar to clear, since Sun and Moon removed HMs 5 years prior. It's an improvement, but it's one that is, or at least should be, a given. In short, I'm judging the games based on the context of when they were released. So while by many measures BDSP are better than older Pokemon games, they are worse games overall. Because in many ways, they are worse than games that came before them. And that is not acceptable. BDSP's flaws fall into 3 main categories: highlighting issues with the original Diamond and Pearl, neglecting improvements from later games, especially Platinum, and creating new changes that either fall flat or cause outright harm. Let's start with the first section, highlighting issues with the original Sinnoh games. Diamond and Pearl added some great things to Pokemon. The main one is the physical special split, where moves are individually denoted physical or special instead of by type.
This one was good because I play a lot of Gen 3, and when I switch back and forth from Gen 3 to Gen 4, I have to remember, okay guys, Razor Leaf is now physical. Because back in Gen 3, all grass, special. All water, special. All fire, special.
Hello, it is I, Shmomipo, and I'm here to tell you, subscribe! Is that good? Good enough.
Made it so some Pokemon who were completely unusable before were actually usable now. For example, Kingler, Sky High Attack, all water moves were special, but now it could use Physical Crab Hammer. Diamond and Pearl were also the first games to connect over Wi-Fi, and they had an extensive post-game area, which the previous region, Hoenn, totally lacked. Being a new generation, they added a bunch of new Pokemon, many of which were evolutions of older Pokemon that sorely needed them, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, I really like Gen 4 for this. Like, they added a bunch of new evolutions for Pokemon, but I believe they also introduced a couple of baby mons as well. I think one of them I really like was Rose Raid, just because I liked Roselia back in Gen 3. So when Rose Raid came along, I was like, oh, that's my flower. That's my toxic flower.
Gliscor is my personal favorite of those, and still one of my overall favorite Pokemon to this day. Remember that. It's gonna be important.
I love Gliscor.
But despite those additions, Diamond and Pearl did some other weird and bad things, primarily related to the regional Sinnoh dex. Most of those new evolutions, like Mamoswine or Magmortar, are not in the regional dex. They're locked to the post-game. What? Why? Why make all these cool new Pokemon, but not let you use any of them until you've basically finished the game? But even overlooking that massive issue, the DP Dex only has 151 Pokemon. 150 if you exclude Mythical Manaphy. This ties it with...
You know, looking back at these sprites, I really like a lot of these Gen 4 sprites. I remember looking at like Sharpedo, like Gen 3 to Gen 4 sprite. I really like the Gen 4 sprite. I think Crobat looks extra round and cute over there. Yeah, I think he looks extra cute. I like the pose that Heracross is doing over there. That's really cute. I'm like pointing at my screen. You guys can't see me, but I'm like pointing.
One Pokemon. 150 if you exclude Mythical Manaphy. This ties it with Kanto for the smallest regional dex in all of Pokemon. Now, this could have been fine if it was balanced properly, but it isn't. This is a spreadsheet I made tracking the...
Oh, yeah. Okay. I remember bitching about this the other day. I like bitching. The fire. How if you basically don't pick Chimchar in the beginning, I think your only other option for a fire type is Ponyta. Until like later, of course, but still, it's like the ones you can get relatively easy is your starter and like Ponyta.
type distribution of the Diamond Pearl Dex, where dual-type Pokemon will appear twice. There are 73 total fully evolved Pokemon, and 17 of those are water-type, meaning over 23% of the Dex possesses a type that you may not even want because you picked Piplup. Meanwhile, Electric's only fully evolved Pokemon are Luxray, Raichu, and Pachirisu. Ice only has Weavile and Abomasnow. Fire, infamously, only has Rapidash and Infernape.
Yeah.
And what's even more insane about these underrepresented types is that there are major trainers in the game that specialize in them. Candace, the Ice Gym leader, has to use a Metacham because they didn't want her to repeat more than one line. Volkner's team is only half electric since he wouldn't even use Pachirisu.
I forgot that they just gave it bro an Ambipom. An Octillery too, but still, but an Ambipom. I don't know, like Thunder Punch, I guess, what?
And then there's Flint, an Elite Four member they decided should specialize in a type that only has 2 fully evolved Pokemon. Now, he's not the only Elite Four member to have this problem. Agatha and Lance are specialists in types that only had 1 evolutionary line in their region. But again, original games, I cut more slack, and also they sort of remedied it by having them repeat Pokemon. But Flint does not repeat Rapidash or Infernape, resulting in him being the only supposed type specialist where less than half of his team actually fits his type.
I think it'd be funnier if they just gave him 5 Infernapes. I think they should have just done that. I think that would have been extra funny.
And he's using the same fire types you've already seen your rival use 1,000,000 times. Both the player and the NPCs are way too limited in their team options, and BDSP has those same issues. But they didn't have to. They could have fixed it because Platinum did. That leads in to the next section, ignoring previous improvements. Platinum version fixed Diamond and Pearl's bad regional dex problem, and it's the main reason why no one plays DP today, only Platinum. All of the cool new evolutions and the other members of their lines were added to the Sinnoh regional dex, alongside the lines of Scizor, Houndoom, Tropius, Altaria, Absol, and Rotom, which was originally locked to the post-game in Diamond and Pearl. This vastly expands the decks for both the player and the NPCs. Candace, Volkner, and Flint now have teams composed entirely of their specialty type without repeating any Pokemon.
Well, let me move myself. You guys can't see that team. Oh, you guys can't see anything actually. Oh, okay, you guys can see it now. Yippee! Yeah, oh my god, the Frostlass!
I love Frosties.
Okay, and they actually gave the evolutions for Jolteon, Flareon, Electivire.
Doggo. Okay, I should move back now. Whoa.
But what is insane to me is that BDSP ignored this. They have the same Sinnoh dex as the original Diamond and Pearl, which was a terrible regional dex. What?
Something, they wanted to make a super duper mega faithful remake, but it was too much because they just ignored all improvements. Something, Game Freak, why?
Why? Other remakes have kept the same regional
Actually, I don't even remember. Was BDSP even made by Game Freak? I don't know.
decks as their original versions, specifically Fire Red Leaf Green, Heart Gold Soul Silver, and Let's Go. But they had no other versions of those regional dexes to reference. The Platinum Sinnoh dex was right there! It's a Gen 4 Sinnoh dex! Now, to be fair, BDSP are not as bad as Diamond and Pearl in this specific regard because of a new feature they added that I actually do like, the underground hideaways.
Oh, I remember the underground, just because I remember like digging for free shit there and it was kind of fun.
In the Gen 4 Sinnoh games, no wild Pokemon could be obtained in the underground, but BDSP allowed you to find overworld Pokemon in habitat-specific hideaways added to the underground map. The pool of Pokemon expands the more badges you get, eventually allowing you to find a ton of Pokemon once you have the national dex. But the way they did this was not good enough. First off, while the player can use these underground Pokemon, the NPCs do not. So Candace, Volkner, and Flint are back to their awful, half-baked teams. Then, while many of the Platinum Dex lines can be obtained underground,
Wait, they could have just... Yeah, I know that they had a problem with the decks and everything. Like, Volkner could have just had, like, a Magnezone or something. I don't know, man.
Several are still locked to the post-game, like in Diamond and Pearl. Eevee fans and Glaceon fans especially get really burned by this. Eevee is post-game only, like it was in Diamond and Pearl, not early game like in Platinum. Then even once you get one, you can't get Sylveon at all because BDSP are wholly incompatible with any Pokemon Gen 5 and later. This includes regional forms, which were never going to be obtainable in the game locally, but you can't even transfer them in. Even Let's Go lets you get those. Oh my god, and Glaceon especially. Like, oh my god. Sword and Shield changed its evolution method from leveling up near the Icy Rock to just using an Ice Stone. But BDSP ripped that away and kicked Eevee to the post-game, making yet another game where you cannot practically play through with a Glaceon. Glaceon was added to the game almost 20 years ago, and you couldn't practically play through with one until Sword and Shield.
Aw. But, like, I love Glaceon. I actually have a Glaceon plushie. Hold up. I'll take a picture for you, Wes. Getting the plushie. Hold up. Oh fuck, that's a. I'll take the picture for you and I'll put it on the screen. Yo. Okay, gang. What?
They hate Glaceon for some reason.
I like Glaceon.
It is I. Go.
Oh, Cunty boy. You know what that means? Shmol.
Hello, it is I, Small Meeple. Y'all like my sunglasses? And I have a lava cookie. It's my cookie. Big Meeple gave me this cookie. I like this cookie. Bleh. Hi! Hope you guys have been well. I've been small.
Dear boy, and let me get right to it. Raycon is the sponsor of today's video, and you love their earbuds.
I think I have ears. That's what these earmuffs are for.
Right?
Yeah, I literally use them every day when I'm at the gym.
You? Work out?
Yeah.
Huh.
What was that? What are you trying to...
Well, I'm here to show you the latest...
He's throwing shade. Even I understand that. Heck, he's mean.
model of the Raycon Everyday Earbuds.
Ooh, these look great. Wow, and they're really comfortable too. I want to go back to earlier though. Like, what was that? What were you saying?
The Everyday Earbuds now feature a 32-hour battery life, multi-point connectivity so you can connect to 2 devices at once, and active...
I have ears. I have ears. What?
Noise cancellation, a must-have for flights. There's also a new quick charge function.
You guys would trust me to fly a plane, right? He mentioned flights.
10 minutes of charging for 90 minutes of battery. You can also get a protective case cover. Look at mine. Stylish, right?
Absolutely. Great time to get them too, thanks to Black Friday.
Yeah.
Does it come in blue? I wanted to match my jacket. Whoa.
Yes, indeed. Go to buyraycon.com/MandJTV or click the link below to get up to 30% off site-wide as part of the Black Friday sale.
I will definitely be grabbing some as gifts. Great.
I'm watching this video on a Tuesday. Heck. It's also June. Heck.
Sound quality at an extra great price. But I do need to circle back to what you said earlier. Are you implying that I look like I don't work out? I'll have you know, I am in excellent shape.
Oh,
He has a sleeper build, trust.
sorry, I cannot hear you right now, and I have to go.
Why?
Ta-ta!
Ta-ta!
going back-
Oh, it's over, which means I leave also. Remember, guys, subscribe. Bye, 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 bye.
I'm back. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed Shmuel Maple. She likes to watch the Grunty Boy segments.
To the underground Pokemon, Pinsir, Smoochum, and Teddy Ursa were randomly added. Sure, but what they did that is so enraging that my vision blurs every time I think about it is that they made some Pokemon available, but don't let you evolve them. You can get Dust.
Oh, they did that! They hit you with the Gen 3 Crobat because that's the exact same thing that happened in Fire Red Leaf Green for a Golbat. Bro tries to evolve, then just stops, ... question mark? Wait, they did that? Oh man, that's a fuck you.
Skull, Rhyhorn, and crucially, Gligar down in the underground, but the Reaper Cloth, Protector, and Razorfang are locked to their Diamond and Pearl post-game.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if you just try to give them, like, I don't know, the Reaper Cloth, bro would just go like, no. Okay. It's just locked the post game, which is just like Fire Red Leaf Green, but still, I was wondering if they just made them say, no, I'm not evolving.
Locations. This is irredeemably unacceptable. Fire Red Leaf Green and Heart Gold Soul Silver also locked later gen evolutions to the post game, such as Crobat is only
I said that! This is not pre-watch, what the fuck?
post game in Fire Red Leaf Green, and Honchcrow's only post game in Heart Gold Soul Silver. To be clear, I've never been okay with this in any Pokemon game. They're remakes, not remasters. Like, you bring other improvements from the original versions, like the battle system changes and stuff like that. The new evolutions, those are improvements. Bring those over too. Let the Pokemon fully evolve during the playthrough. Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire did this right, adding later gen evolutions to the regional decks. For example, Ruby Sapphire only had Roselia, but you can play through Oris with a Rose Raid.
Yay!
Let's Go reverted back to just the original 151, but they did it so completely, like Crobat does not exist in Let's Go at all. I do not like that. I want to be very clear. I wish Let's Go had King.
But Crobat? One of my editor's profile pictures always been a Crobat. Ah! I can't believe Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee killed my editor. Damn, bro.
And Crobat and Steelix, etc. But
Wait, hold up. Wysp, your favorite is Porygon too. They killed you too. They killed my editing team.
completely, like Crobat does not exist in Let's Go at all. I do not like that. I want to be very clear. I wish Let's Go had Kingdra and Crobat and Steelix, etc. But I still think BDSP is worse for two reasons. And the first is inconsistency. Why did they let you get Mamoswine and Gallade, but not Rhyperior? Why did they let you get Electivire and Magmortar, which do require the annoyance of getting their Evo items off wild Pokemon, but they don't let you get a Reaper Cloth or Razorfang on some other wild Pokemon? As for the second reason, the non-Oris remakes at least could be like, oh hey, we just did exactly what the original games did. Sure, I guess. I don't like it, but like, they would have to decide where the dragon scale would go in Kanto. I think it's stupid, but at least that argument can be made. But BDSP had Platinum as a reference. They had a Gen 4 Sinnoh game that had Rhyperior, Dusknoir, and Gliscor in it, and they could have just put the evolution items in the spots they were in Platinum. No decision necessary, just copy the Gen 4 game. That's what
I like how mad he is about this. You go, Mikey.
you were doing already! When I first played through Brilliant Diamond, I was so excited to use Gliscor, since I could finally have a flying type that did not need to be able to learn Fly. And then after I caught Gligar, I found out the Razorfang was near the Battle Tower.
You can see how sad he is. Oh my god.
Its location from Diamond and Pearl. They put the Razorfang after the lead! And in defiant rage, I had a friend trade me a Razorfang, meaning I could only use Gliscor because
If you had friends!
I knew someone who had already finished the game. BDSP handled the DP versus Platinum Dex situation in the worst way possible. Inconsistency, compartmentalization, getting people's hopes up only to dash them. This on its own is inexcusable for me, but I'm not even done. There are several
He's like, I may have been betrayed. I'm pissed off, but I'm not even done bitching about this.
more improvements that BDSP ignored. Sword and Shield made the move reminder free and in every Pokemon Center. BDSP put him back in Pastoria City. And while after 10 heart scale uses he becomes free forever,
10? God damn.
this is still a downgrade from free everywhere all the time. TMs break again. Sword and Shield made it so some TMs never broke and some TRs needed purchasing. But this was a regression in my opinion. And
Yeah, like, I thought they made TMs like permanent back in Gen 5, and then they introduced TRs, and I was like, why?
BDSP made it worse. All TMs break, and you can only get more from randomized sellers in the underground that you have to track down and hope they're selling what you want. I wanted to teach Thunderwave to my Gallade to use for catching Pokemon, and I've never gotten the Thunderwave TM because my only options for getting it are tracking down a random dude in the underground or purchasing it with battle points at the battle tower? You want me to spend battle points on a single-use TM for Thunderwave? Oh, and speaking of the Battle Tower, Platinum improved the Battle Tower into the Sinnoh Battle Frontier, which was ported over to Heart Gold Soul Silver as well. Apparently, Pokemon is extremely against ever doing a Battle Frontier again, because in BDSP, it's just the Battle Tower now. Both Oris and BDSP failed to bring back their Battle Frontiers, and I think that stinks.
Yeah, like, I know a couple people that have, like, actually gone through the Battle Frontier and that kind of stuff. It's a lot of work. Like, it's a lot of grinding, it's a lot of battles, a lot of work. But, like, if they're there for it, then they want it, right?
I'm a smart adult now. Let me give them a shot. Then this next one is weird because technically they did bring in a good thing from previous games, but they did it so badly that I wish they had not brought it in at all. BDSP did following Pokemon the worst way in the entire series.
I remember, oh my god, because I picked Turtwig, right? So like as a little guy, he was fine. But when he evolved to the Grottle, holy shit. And like a Torterra, they were so slow. And I felt bad because bro was like waddling. And I was like, he literally can't go faster.
Despite having clear inspiration to take from previous games. You know what? Let's look at all of the previous game following Pokemon and their good and bad. Yellow had just the Pikachu follow you, and it functions similarly to Heart Gold Soul Silver, the gold standard, no pun intended, for following Pokemon. For every Pokemon in the game, Heart Gold Soul Silver puts a sprite behind your character that generally matches the size of the Pokemon, and it moves exactly at player speed. It looks great and feels great.
Yeah, I like the following Pokemon this gen. It's super cute.
And I genuinely have no criticisms. Let's Go nails it for a 3D world. The Pokemon are to scale, they show off unique movements like rolling Sandslash, and some of them let you ride them in interesting, unique, or even beneficial ways.
Yeah, I like the way the Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee handled the following Pokemon. I thought it was really nice. I think I was able to ride like a lot of my Pokemon as well. Was that Charizard? Or did I pick Venusaur for that? I don't. Do I have a Charizard? Did I have one? I think I did. I don't remember anymore, guys. It's been a long time since I've played Let's Go. I like to do a run with each starter, but that's Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, so that would be a bit different. We can use funny moves on the Eevee, like baddie bad.
Like Arcanine moving faster. Sword and Shield does it quite badly. Not only is it limited to the DLC areas, but the Pokemon move stupidly. Some are simply too slow to ever keep up with you. Some are too slow when walking, too fast when sprinting, so they fall behind, sprint, fall behind, sprint. It's like you have a yo-yo behind you. Only specific fast enough Pokemon actually follow you well, but at least most Pokemon are to scale.
Oh wait, Corviknight's huge. I guess it is a taxi service, but goddamn.
BDSP took all the bad parts of Sword and Shield following, tried to put it in a Heart Gold Soul Silver style, and just ignored everything good about Let's Go. First, the Pokemon are not to scale, so bigger Pokemon look terrible. Look at Onix in BDSP versus Let's Go. It's night and day.
Bro, look at him. He's like a worm.
Look at Onix in BDSP versus Let's Go. It's night and day. Now, unlike other Switch games, BDSP has a different model for the overworld player versus the in-battle player. So it makes sense that they had to shrink things down. But in Heart Gold Soul Silver, where that's the case as well, they replaced the in-battle sprites with simplified chibi-esque sprites for following. BDSP did not do that. They just copied over the in-battle models, which looks incredibly stupid, especially for big Pokemon like Dialga, or for Pokemon who pose in battle differently than they would move. Look at Ekans following you in Let's
Yeah.
Go. It's nice, right? A slithering snake. Now look
snake.
at it in BDSP. It epitomizes trash
Ah! Before Snake.
laziness. Additionally, they took all of Sword and Shield's movement problems and put them into BDSP. Some Pokemon are too slow, then have to sprint. Some are just too slow and can never keep up. It's annoying to have anything follow you, so I never did any of it.
Oh, I love the way Dialga just fucking floats.
If they were gonna do following Pokemon right, they needed chibi Pokemon models, maybe similar to the ones from Pokemon Rumble, and those models should have followed the player at the speed of the player, no matter how fast the Pokemon actually is. I do not care about realism in Overworld Sinnoh. I'm playing as a character whose head is 3 times the size of their body, and all the buildings face the same direction. Make the Pokemon cute and small and move at my speed. Now, of course, I'm aware making all of those chibi models would have been a lot of extra work, especially for like 400 or whatever Pokemon. So if on a time crunch, which, let's be real, they definitely were, they simply should not have had the feature at all. They only had it in Amity Square in the originals. So just make cute separate overworld models for the Pokemon that can go there, and don't let following happen anywhere else. Instead, they tossed this in seemingly as an afterthought and marketed it as a fancy new feature that's just a worse version of something that already existed in previous games. And now for the final category of problems, new things that suck.
Aw.
I know I said something else earlier, but that's basically what it is. You could summarize this as, oh, you kept the DP Sinnoh Dex to be faithful? Then why'd you do this? First is how the game looks. This is quite subjective, but I don't personally like it. Although it may not be for the reasons that you think. The chibi art style was heavily criticized, but that doesn't actually really bother me that much. I think they could have gone for something more like an
Yo, I fucking hated the swamp. Holy shit.
but that doesn't actually really bother me that much. I think they could
This would take me so long to go through because I would keep falling in the mud, have to struggle to get out, and then rinse and repeat until I'm done. I know there's a trick to it, but you know what? I'm stubborn, I'm a bit stupid, it sucks.
Could have gone for something more like an Oris, but I understand preserving the shrunken person style for this type of world map. What I really don't like is how the battles and the characters look. Many Pokemon are not to scale, which they were in Let's Go. None of the
That's his baddie bad shirt.
characters got cool redesigns like they did in Oris. And also, I think they just look bad. Every time I go to a Sinnoh Gym Leader's Bulbapedia page, I get jump scared by their BDSP art.
Oh my
the renders
God.
look emotionless and like they're made of weird clay. No other 3D Pokemon game has made me feel like this. I don't know why. I'm not an artist or a game developer, so I don't know if it's the shading or the models or the expressions, but like, I just don't like how any of the people look. All of their eyes look dead. Another bad change they made was just how you move around the world. In almost every game before Sun and Moon, the character is locked to a grid, the original Sinnoh games included. This is perfectly fine.
Oh, like you can move diagonally in this game, and I believe that's how you can bypass the entire puzzle of Candace's gym?
Because the worlds around the character are designed with sets of tiles. But then the game's advanced, and in Alola and Galar, the player has more freedom of movement. The developers of BDSP carried that freedom of movement over to Sinnoh. The character is not locked to a grid, so if you inch over a little at a time, your character will only move an inch at a time. Not one square over per press of the button. This was a huge mistake. Moving around with the joystick is fine if it's a wide open area, but in crowded places with thin walkways like Mount Coronet, I can't get around a single corner without getting caught on it. But then moving around with the directional buttons instead still doesn't solve your issue completely. Not only are you still not confined to the grid, but you now have to hold the run button the whole time, which you don't while using the joystick. Additionally, the Joy-Con has 4 distinct buttons, as opposed to a 1-button D-pad where you can change directional inputs just by tilting your finger. This causes problems because when I want to change directions, my thumb leaves a button, then hits another, causing a momentary stoppage in input, so most of the time my character pauses for a moment before turning. Maybe it's better on a Pro Controller, but I've had way too many Pro Controller D-pad problems to tolerate that. And what's frustrating about this is that there's 2 ways they could have done it better that earlier games did. The first is in Oris. Moving with the circle pad does not lock the character to a grid, but if you want to swap to the D-pad, it instantly puts you back on the grid. Plus, the 3DS has a traditional
I don't think that's a detail I noticed about Oras. My god, oh.
D-pad, so changing directions is smooth and instant. Let's Go never has the character on a grid, but they redesigned the world to account for that. For
Venusaur hops.
example, Kanto's Route 13 is the one with that random labyrinth of fences. Who built these? And why? Did their herd of cows
Bro just likes fences. Trust.
turn into minotaurs? But anyways, in the 2D games, the paths between fences are only 1 tile wide. But then in Let's Go, they're wide enough for the player to run in a circle between them. If there's no grid, you need wider spaces, and Let's Go nailed that. BDSP should have allowed us to get on a grid for tight spaces, or redesigned the world so that there weren't as tight of spaces. And they did neither, so moving around the world sucks. And the final thing they changed that I'll be discussing, which I take huge issue with, is also the thing I expect to get the most pushback on. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl have an absolutely terrible difficulty problem. As you progress through the game, you have a universal experience share, something not present in the Gen 4 games. This is a problem because they did not adjust the major trainer battle levels to compensate for this. By the time I fought Volkner, my entire team was level 52 or 53.
I do remember this being a problem because I also did the Nuzlocke where I think I capped my Pokemon to the highest level of the gym leader's next Pokemon. And I remember needing to sub out Pokemon just to absorb some experience because I don't think you could turn it off.
While his highest was 49. Now, they did try to compensate for this, but it didn't really work. As time goes on, the gym leaders start to use better items. Byron uses a soft sand and citrus berry, but then Candace's Snover has an icy rock to extend the hail, and Sneasel has a chopal berry. Volkner's Raichu has a Shuka berry. Additionally, later gym leader Pokemon start to have EVs, which trainer Pokemon did not have at all in the originals. However, despite that, I beat basically all the gym battles handily, even playing on set style. For the most part, the game was really easy. And that's not just because I'm an adult now. I have lost to Platinum Candace as an adult. Now, most of my team was weak to ice, and she has a Frostlass with Snow Cloak and Double Team, which is a really nasty set, I'll be real. But BDSP didn't have that. But essentially, the result of the universal experience share was like, okay, the game was really easy, but now I should not have to grind before I fight the Elite Four. And the slog of grinding before that, it's always been my least favorite part of Pokemon. So I entered my first fight with the League with my team at or almost at level 60, and Cynthia's highest level is 66. It felt like a nice middle ground level because I wanted to do it on set battle style and without using any potions. The game had been so easy up to that point, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna give myself this challenge.
Yeah, that's fair. I think the way I do Nuzlocks and that kind of stuff when it comes to getting my Pokemon to like a level, it's kind of always hard to do for especially E4 to the champion. I think I do it to the highest level of the last E4 member. So the first couple of E4 members are a lot, well, not a lot, but a bit easier. But by the time we get to the champion, their Pokemon levels are higher, and it kind of balances out by then.
And then I learned they made the league ridiculous. All the Elite Four have intelligent EV spreads. They're not maxed out, but having smart EV spreads when the original games had no EVs at all is crazy. They also have excellent natures, mostly jolly and adamant for physical attackers or timid and modest for special attackers. Their IV
Man, they fucking pranked you. Holy shit.
These are almost all perfect, including 3 of Lucian's Pokemon having 0 speed IVs, because he uses Trick Room. 0 speed IVs for Trick Room. That is a competitive Pokemon player strategy. And that's not the only one they use. Flame Orb Guts Heracross, Rest Chestoberry Hippowdon, Life Orb on Sheer Force Steelix, and Magic Guard Alakazam. Oh.
Yeah, the entire game up until the E4 is just luring you into this false sense of security, and then they say, got 'em.
And did you notice anything about some of the Pokemon I just mentioned? If you didn't, well, some of them have their hidden abilities. And then you get to Cynthia, and it gets truly disgusting. All of her Pokemon have perfect IVs in all but one stat, and that stat is usually the offensive stat they're not using. They have maxed out EV spreads. Their strategies are ridiculous. Leftovers Gastrodon, Flame Orb Marvel Scale Milotic.
Yeah, the Flame Orb Marvel Scale Milo. Oh my god, the wall. Well, not the wall Aggron, but this is the wall. Brackets fish.
Her Garchomp, which was already infamously hard in the old games, now has rough skin.
I think they also gave him a poison move. I swear he's just gonna say it. A poison move like right here to maybe counter fairies, right? Fairies are in this game now. I forget if they put fairy in the BDSP remake. Something faithful or some shit.
Holds a Yachi Berry and knows Swords Dance. She has a fully competitive team that probably outlevels your random EV, random nature Pokemon, and she's using full restores. I played on set, but despite my extensive Pokemon experience, I still lost to her on my first try. I even came back, having EV trained my Weavile, and still did not outspeed the Garchomp. And then I only won because of affection, a stupid crapshoot mechanic that allowed me to live or dodge attacks I normally would not.
I think for me, my Lucario that I brought in probably would have died at, God, I don't remember his name. The guy with the Bronzong. I don't know why I forgot his name, okay? Purple hair dude. Purple hair dude. Like, I know Bronzong doesn't exactly have a great attack stat, but Earthquake is scary.
Now I know what some of you are thinking. This is really cool. I have thought Pokemon was too easy for far too long, so it's nice to have a serious challenge. I enjoy the process of losing over and over and over again until I eventually overcome that obstacle.
The process of losing over and over and over again is literally all I do when I stream Kaizo Ironmon. Super Kaizo Ironmon now.
I mean, of course some of you would think that. That's why difficult games are played. Now, if you think that way, that's just a personal preference difference between the two of us that we got to establish. I personally avoid difficult games like the plague because when playing games, I tend to prefer my kicking ass to getting my ass kicked ratio to be high. But despite that preference, I don't have a problem with Pokemon games, including really difficult challenges. In this video, I've lamented the fact that we haven't had a battle frontier in 15 years.
Yeah, I think the main issue here is that the main part of the game where you get your 8 gym badges, you go through the entire story, it doesn't properly prepare you for the E4 and the champion, where the rest of the game felt too easy and then suddenly you get slapped in the face, kicked in the ass, and it does nothing to actually properly prepare you for the challenge.
My problem with the BDSP League, and the reason I think it's bad, is because of when it is. They're locking all the post-game content behind a challenge that the game has not properly prepared you for, since no battles before this have come close to being this tough. You breeze through most of the game with random EV, random IV, random nature Pokemon, and then You're expected to beat fully competitive Pokemon with your playthrough team? Pokemon competitive battling has always kind of been in defiance of the friendship/partner aspect of Pokemon, since to win, you generally need properly bred super soldiers trained perfectly for battle. But if the random ones that you formed a bond with and just took on your journey without any specific training methods are what the game wants you to play with, then why does the Pokemon League have the super soldiers that'll spit on your Pokemon's graves? And even if you decide you want to make your own super soldiers, realistically, you can't. Some of the League Pokemon have hidden abilities. You can't get wild hidden ability Pokemon until you have the Pokeradar, which needs the National Dex, which is technically possible to get before you beat the League, but it's an insane time sink, no one's gonna do it. Many of the competitive items they use are only found in the Battle Park by spending BP. The power items for efficient EV training are also locked behind the National Dex. You can't even realistically breed for good IVs because the Destiny Knot is either found on Route 224, which requires you to beat the League, or you have to hope for a 1% chance to get it from pickup. So much of Pokemon's difficulty is affected by preparation and team building. But if you can't prepare in the same way that the League does, that is unfair. And that means your only methods of preparation are realistically hoping you get lucky with affection or freaking grinding. I don't mind the existence of a competitive Pokemon League if it's the rematch. That allows you to either build up a competitive team with all of the resources you now have access to, or train up against post-game level Pokemon with your playthrough team. But making it so defeating this unfair league is a requirement to unlock more content is just kind of cruel and extremely hostile to beginners. This is very specific to me, but I think back to the emotional kid that I was when I played Diamond and Pearl for the first time in middle school, the worst years of my life. And if kid me had to fight this version of Cynthia, he would have cried with rage and probably would have beaten it eventually with excessive potion usage or many, many hours spent grinding, but...
You know, I'm thinking back to kid me as well. But the thing about kid me is, if I couldn't figure something out after a couple of attempts, I would just restart the entire game and go, well, maybe this one will be better. I did that for like Mega Man Battle Network, I did that for Pokemon, I did that for a lot of games. Yeah, bro.
I feel like it would have left a really sour taste in my mouth from the experience, and very well may not have gone back to play the games again for a very long time. I get that people getting frustrated and raging at video games can be funny and entertaining, but I personally don't like feeling that way, and I don't want a kid to have to feel that way to beat a Pokemon game. And yes, I understand overcoming challenges can really help people grow, but I don't know about you, as a kid, I didn't want challenge in my Pokemon games. I got enough challenges just living my life. In Pokemon, I wanted to escape to a world in which I could explore and collect and feel cool for kicking ass in battle. And so I feel bad for the kids like me who had to fight this version of Sinnoh's Pokemon League, because it's this brutal, awful thing that keeps you from exploring and collecting more. But even if you disagree with me on the difficulty piece of it, I believe that Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl's other flaws are still enough to make them the worst mainline Pokemon games ever made.
I think that's fair, but I also think that I was probably a fucked up kid that would just reset upon not being able to do something and say, I'll just try again in this life. Because I don't think I've ever been mad at like a challenge or at something too difficult, so I don't think I can talk for anybody, really. I just don't get mad at games, okay? Like, that's just it. Maybe it's my lack of emotional attachment or some shit, but I just don't get upset. Well, I'm built for Super Kaizo Ironmon, huh?
If we get future traditional type remakes like this of other regions like Unova, I desperately hope that they learn from the mistakes of these disastrous remakes.
Yeah, I think it was so disastrous to the point where people before, I want to say the Gen 4 remake, were always begging for a Gen 4 remake or a Gen 5 remake, and it's like, please, 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 please. But now, anytime something from the official Pokemon company, they post about Gen 5, everyone starts fearing for their life because they now fear a BDSP equivalent for now Gen 5. I think that's really upsetting.
Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, check out my video where I try to logically explain all of the Pokemon type matchups. And for the ones that I can't, I at least give you some fun ways to try to remember them.
Okay. Oh.
We're having fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was neat. Hi. Yeah. Gang, gang. What? Okay.
Anyways, that was a fun video. Took me a while to, I guess, finally sit down and watch this one, but
That's a lot of fun.
I mostly watched it because I was like, well, I played BDSP, and yeah, bro, I agree. Shit sucked. Shit sucked. It was fun, but like, shit sucked. Oh my god, I remember this one time though, I was in like my friend's like Twitch chat, and there's this one guy that basically, if you mention anything bad about like BDSP, bro replies to your message going, I am blocking you. And I'm like, whatever, bro. The game's remake's just not good. Whatever, bro. Block me. I don't want to see your message anyways. Anyways, bye, 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 bye.